Ranking every field in Beast Home Simulator. Okay, without any delay, let's start off with the Dandelion field. The Dandelion field is kinda mid. It's just white flowers, but it's weak. Unless you have Fuzzy Bee, this field won't be very useful. And even if you do, you won't be in this field very much, apart from maybe to get the badge. So just because of that, I'll be putting Dandelion field and F tier. It does have one Royal Jelly up here, and it does have this gold stuff, but does that really matter? Moving on to the Sunflower field. The Sunflower field, there's not really much to say. Again, you need a strong Sprinkler and a Fuzzy Bee to really make this field do much. You still won't be gaining much pollen either way. Overall, not a great field. It also has this gold stuff, but that doesn't really mean much. So because of that, Sunflower field will be going in the F tier. Next up we have Mushroom field. It does have this ladybug, which you can get some loot from. Not very useful, but maybe if you're early game. Also, it has red flowers, but the flowers are still weak and you still will need a good Sprinkler or a Fuzzy Bee to keep the flowers growing. It also has these massive mushrooms and the bush at the back, making it quite hard to see. So I don't really like this field. But it does have one Royal Jelly up here and the stick bug. But because of that, I'll be putting Mushroom field and F tier, just because it's quite hard to see with all the mushrooms and the bush in your way. Moving on to the Blue Flower field. The Blue Flower field has a Rhino Beetle, which will give you like snowflakes, so I guess that's kind of useful. It's got blue flowers, of course, Blue Flower field, but they are quite weak and you would need a strong Sprinkler and a Fuzzy Bee, of course. It's quite a big field and quite easy to move around in. There's not much in your way apart from this moving fence, which was added with the goal, but I do quite like this field as it is really big and it's just not too bad of a field. It's right next to Blue HQ as well, and it's got the King Beetle. So I'll be putting Blue Flower field at a D. You can say it's biased because I'm a Blue Hive, but I still don't really use this field much. Next up, we have the Clover field. The Clover field has all three colors and the flowers are a bit stronger, so it is a lot better to farm in early game. It also has this Ladybug and Rhino Beetle, which could give you some useful loot. It also has Stockings right now for Beesmas and the Brown Bear, and also the Wolf Crook. So it's not too bad of a field overall. So I'll be putting the Clover field in D tier along with the Blue Flower field. Moving on to the 5B zone. The first field is Spider field. This field is just white flowers. So if you're a White Hive, it's a great field, but otherwise it's not really that useful. But the flowers are a bit stronger. Which is a good thing. And I'll be putting the Spider field in C tier. Actually, I'll put it in B tier because if you're a White Hive, it's a great field. I think this is where most White Hives do their boosts. But unless you're a White Hive, it's quite useless. Next up, the Strawberry field. Got two Ladybugs. Not really much to say about this field. It's quite a nice field, quite open like the Spider field. Not really much in the way like the Mushroom field with these big mushrooms. Quite a nice field, and the flowers are a little bit stronger, but there is a lot better options for Red Hives. But I'll be putting the field in C tier. And I just realized I feel like I'm degrading the Spider field a bit too much. Maybe I should put it in A tier. I'll be generous and I'll leave it in A tier for now. Now the final field in the 5B zone is the Bamboo field. Again, flowers are a bit stronger, full of blue flowers, quite a big and open field, nothing really in the way. This bamboo, if you jump on top of it, you can get a Royal Jelly up there, but not much to say about this field. It's just overall a slightly better version of the Blue Flower field. It's a decent field and you've got Panda Bear right next to it, and yeah, not much to say about it. I will be putting it with Strawberry field in C tier. Oh, that's Cactus. Next up in the 10B zone is the Pineapple Patch. Overall, this field is quite mid. I've never really cared too much about these fields. I mean, you do have a pineapple right here and some other stuff on top. I don't quite remember what it was. But overall, I never used this field too much. I never farmed in here too much. Mostly just for the badge, really. It's not really a great field. So I will be putting it in D tier. Or should I put it in C tier? I'll be generous, I'll put it in C tier. Next up we have the Stump field. Quite a decent field. A lot of blue flowers, decent blue flowers. There is a really strong snail guarding it, so you won't be able to use your bees much in here unless you kill the snail, which would take a while, especially if you're early game low level hive. But the snail does drop you some good stuff, and I recommend killing it every time you can, every time it respawns. But apart from that, the field isn't too great. Even when I killed the snail, I never really used this field. But yeah, I'll be putting the field in C tier. Next up we have the 15B zone, and as soon as you enter this zone, you'll be greeted by this werewolf. Although he may be annoying to kill as an early game player, the loot he drops is often quite good and useful. But anyways, let's get on to the fields. So first field is Cactus field. Again, quite mid. Mixed colors, blue and red. Not much white. Overall, as an early game player, you just unlock the 15 B zone. I don't know if I'd use this too much. It's not really a bad field, and the flowers are quite high level, as you can see. So for that, I will be putting the cactus field in B tier. Next up, we have the pumpkin field. Again, never really like this field too much. Mostly just white flowers with some red and some blue in between. Not much to say about this field, so I would say it's quite mid. And I will be putting it in B tier. Moving on to the pine tree field. Now this field is great. It has 2 mantises that come out at you as soon as you enter it. They're quite easy to deal with and will drop you some decent loot. But the field itself is amazing. It's the best field we currently have for blue hives. These 2 big trees are quite in the way, especially if you're farming in the corner, but it's not too much of a big deal. And this field is just amazing for blue hives. It's the best field you're gonna be using it all the time. So I'll put it in S tier. So next we have the rose field. But this field is also amazing when you're early game and you want to make a lot of pollen. When I was first starting out, I used this field a lot, and it made me a lot of my honey when I was early game. And yeah, I used to love this field. So I will be putting it in the A tier. It's not S tier, as there is the pepper patch now, which is much better, but it's a great field. Next up, we have the mountaintop field. This field is amazing when you're an early game player. When I unlocked this, I made so much honey from it. It's got high level red and blue flowers, and it's great for making honey and pollen as an early game player. I love this field and I always will do. And this field is great just in every way possible. Especially as it's open and there's no obstructions, nothing in the way. You can see the whole field perfectly. You also have the Mondo chick which spawns. It can be quite annoying to deal with, especially when you just want some pollen. But the loot it drops can be useful for an early game player, and Mondo chick isn't too bad. So for that, I'll be putting this field in S tier, just because I love it so much. Moving on, we have the pepper patch. This is the best field for red hives and for red flowers. Not much to say about this one apart from it's just great, amazing. And I will be putting it up in S tier along with the mountain top field and pine tree. Next we have the coconut field. This field is not too bad. It has a coconut crab when you first enter it. You must kill and it respawns every 2 days. Coconut crab is a great source for drops like the coconuts and a lot of other things. I recommend you defeat the coconut crab as often as possible. The only drawback for this field is that a lot of lower level hives and players aren't able to defeat the coconut crab and are just locked out of this field. Overall, I think this is quite a good field, but I don't really see many white hives boosting in here. And from what I've seen, a lot of white hives prefer to boost in the spider field. But I will be putting this along with the spider field in A tier. Finally, we have the ant field. The ant field is really small and cramped and has these lawnmowers coming out the sides to try to kill you. It also has ants spawning in every time you collect pollen. Overall, not a great field, especially because it's always trying to kill you. But the ant challenge is extremely useful for some resources, and the amulet of course. Just for that, since the ant amulet is required, I'll have to put the ant field all the way up to S tier. Well, this is the final tier list. If you did enjoy this video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Make sure to leave a comment if I missed anything, or if you have any opinions you want to share. And thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.